In late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched a massive joint bombing campaign against Iran. The entire strategy rested on a specific assumption. The Trump administration and Israeli intelligence believed a targeted decapitation strike would swiftly fracture the Iranian government from the inside out. They were relying on history. In 1953, a joint operation successfully replaced Iran's democratic leadership with a compliant regime. The architects of this 2026 campaign expected a similar rapid collapse. But 10 weeks into the conflict, the reality on the ground looked different. Major military initiatives, like the highly publicized Project Freedom, were abruptly suspended, and the Iranian government remained firmly in control. American and Israeli leadership found themselves caught in a prolonged conflict with no clear exit strategy. They had entered a war they couldn't afford to walk away from politically, but were increasingly unable to sustain militarily. The campaign planners made a critical miscalculation about the country itself. Iran possesses a deep, 5,000-year cultural history. Instead of fracturing the population, the foreign bombardment united them under their existing leadership. This cohesion allowed Iran to fully execute a strategy of asymmetrical attrition. The United States approached the conflict relying on its massive defense budget and high-end technological superiority, while Iran fought an entirely different kind of war. This chart breaks down the financial reality. A single American interceptor missile costs $4 million. Meanwhile, an Iranian combat drone costs around $20,000. For every multi-million-dollar missile fired, Iran launches hundreds of inexpensive drones, breaking the basic math of traditional shock and awe. Working under decades of sanctions, Iranian engineers built a massive, decentralized arsenal of these low-cost weapons, specifically to bypass traditional military blockades. Even a superpower's nearly unlimited military budget is effectively neutralized when an adversary can inflict continuous damage at a tiny fraction of the price. The conflict quickly moved beyond the physical battlefield. Unable to match American air superiority, Iran retaliated by weaponizing the logistics of global trade. By maintaining active control over the Strait of Hormuz, the Iranian military held a physical grip on one of the world's most critical pathways for international oil exports. That geographical chokehold had an immediate effect on the American economy. Across the United States, average gas prices quickly surged past $4.50 a gallon, putting intense financial pressure on voters. This economic pain rapidly bled into domestic politics. The war had been planned by a small circle of advisors who reinforced each other's assumptions. They failed to prepare their citizens for any scenario other than a fast, decisive victory. This graph illustrates the resulting drop in public confidence. By week 10, polling showed 60% of Americans had turned against the campaign. Simultaneously, Israeli citizens' belief that the war would successfully topple the Iranian government fell to 43.5%. Public skepticism extended into media consumption. Millions of viewers abandoned traditional domestic networks, turning instead to international outlets like Al Jazeera for unvarnished updates from the region. When foreign policy is designed within an ideological echo chamber, ignoring both history and basic economics, the resulting failure creates severe political and financial blowback at home. Facing mounting domestic pressure, the United States is now relying on Pakistani mediators to negotiate a single-page peace document. It is a desperate attempt to secure a face-saving exit from the conflict. If diplomacy fails, the administration is left with two terrible options. The first, championed by hawkish advisors, is to commit to a massive military escalation to forcefully blast open the Strait of Hormuz. The alternative is an abrupt military withdrawal. This would formally surrender control of the shipping lanes to Tehran, leaving the Iranian government emboldened and mathematically undefeated. This level of strategic miscalculation echoes the events of 1956, when British and French forces disastrously tried to seize the Suez Canal. They too overestimated their leverage and paid a lasting price on the world stage. Whatever the outcome of the immediate peace talks in Islamabad, the original premise of the war is dead. A swift decapitation strike failed to materialize. Now, an entire generation is watching a superpower exhaust its resources, proving that foreign intervention can easily be